The wind didn't weep for women like her. It skimmed her brow as if she weren't there, lifting grains of sand into her lashes, teasing the single curl that clung to her cheek. The sun had set hours ago, leaving only the chill that comes when hope has already drained from the day. Sadi Thornne blinked slowly, her eyelids heavy with dust. Her legs ached from immobility. She couldn't remember the last deep breath she'd drawn. The earth gripped her from the shoulders down, packed by settler hands and cruel silence just past dawn. The town had not jeered. They had not called her names. No, it was worse. They had gone quiet. That kind of quiet reserved for someone who had been declared no longer a person at all. They called it mercy. One night buried to her neck. No wolves this far, they said. No rain forecasted, just a lesson, a warning. Then she would be free to leave Mercy Ridge as barren as when she arrived. Infertile, the midwife had whispered, eyes wide with sorrow. Hollow as a prairie gourd. I'm sorry, honey. Sadi had nodded, not from understanding, but because the midwife's eyes held more apology than her own mother ever had. The rest unfolded like dry thunder, her mother-in-law folding up the wedding quilt in silence, the preacher frowning at the church steps, Jonas saying she must have hidden the truth. If you were honest, you'd have let me find a fruitful wife. Then the tribunal. She didn't cry, she didn't scream, not as they covered her to the collarbone, not even when Eli Sampson pressed the dirt a little too hard over her chest, smelling of whiskey and mint. She swore she saw a glimmer of glee in the way he patted her down, as if she were already soil. Now, in the blue dusk, the silence hurt more than the sand. Her tongue was swollen, lips cracked. She whispered her own name sometimes, just to remind herself she existed. Sadi Thornne, 25. Once a girl who loved yellow buttercups. Once a bride with embroidered linens. Now just a buried thing the town wanted to forget. The stars came out slow. Coyotes called far off, their cries bouncing between canyons. Somewhere close, an owl hooted. Her thoughts wandered. Grandmother's cornbread, washing sheets, a cradle built from spare hickory for a friend's baby. A shadow flickered across the sand. Her eyes twitched open. At first she thought it was death. A figure on horseback loomed just beyond her blurred vision, tall and still in the moonlight haze. He dismounted in a single, quiet motion. No boots, no spurs. Moccasins, long coat, rifle slung over his shoulder. She croaked her name. Only a dry sound escaped, and a single tear slid down her cheek. The man knelt beside her. High cheekbones, storm-dark eyes, a steady mouth. He didn't ask who she was, what she had done, or why. He began to dig. Each handful of dirt lifted warmth up her spine like fire in a cold hearth. She gasped when her ribs were freed, coughed as the pressure released. He paused, offered a leather flask of water, and when her arms were free, she leaned against him. His grip was steady, warm. "Why?" she rasped. "You're cold," he said, "not dead." He wrapped her in a deerskin blanket, lifted her like she weighed no more than a bedroll. She clung, not from fear, but because something inside her had cracked open, something old and full of silence. "Name's Taza," he said, softly, riding through the night. "Lone Tree Clan." She didn't answer. Her jaw ached, her body ached, but her heart whispered something it hadn't dared for weeks. Not alone. The ridge loomed ahead, trees standing like watchers. The horse moved sure-footed. Taza held the reins in one hand, kept the other at her waist. The wind picked up again, curious this time, lifting her braid, rustling her blanket. Somewhere, babies coughed on the wind. Imagined or real, she couldn't yet tell. But she would soon, for Taza was taking her somewhere the world might not find her again. Somewhere higher than judgment, warmer than shame, where a woman didn't have to bleed to prove she was worthy of love. Dawn edged the horizon. Sadi Thornne, wrapped in the night's silence, let the rhythm of horse and man carry her towards something unnamed but alive. The cabin sat like it had grown from stone, tucked between two pines that bent in the wind as though keeping secrets. She woke curled beneath a buffalo hide quilt, the smell of cedar smoke and milk in the air. Her skin still bore the sting of buried dirt, her ribs ached like bruises of memory. Inside, the man she called Taza knelt at a cradle, lifting a swaddled infant with gentle care. He handed the child to her. The baby's dark eyes blinked like submerged stars. "He thinks I'm her mother," he said. "I don't tell her she's wrong." Sadi held the child, whispered her own name, and realized for the first time in weeks that warmth could seep in where silence had reigned. Days passed like water over stones. She washed, fed, rocked, tended to 4 children who were not hers by birth, but now hers by love. Taza worked silently, bringing what they needed, leaving what they didn't. Their unspoken rhythm grew, a quiet truce between 2 people carrying the weight others tried to bury them under. Whispers came from Mercy Ridge, cruel and small. Taza said nothing. Sadi said nothing. They tended their children. They endured. Then one afternoon, Jonas appeared, older, guilt-ridden, desperate. "Sadi," he said, voice brittle, "I heard you were alive." "I am a mother now," she said. "You just couldn't see it." Jonas nodded, pain flickering. "I believe you. I was a fool." She looked past him, to the path, to the world beyond, then back to the porch where Taza held the smallest child, arm wrapped around her like roots around seed. "You should go," she said. "Whatever you lost, it's not here anymore." When he left, she climbed back to the porch. Taza handed her the baby, who curled into her chest without hesitation. "You all right?" he asked. She nodded. The sparrow darted across the sky, catching the light on its wings. That night by the fire, Sadi sang an old lullaby she barely remembered. The children curled close, breath soft and even. Taza's hand brushed hers. Pinkies touched. Later, in quiet, she wrote in her ledger, not of loss, but of life. They said she was buried in shame, but she rose as their mother, and the world, try as it might, could never bury her again. If you ever find yourself broken by the names the world gives you, unworthy, unneeded, alone, remember this: the wind may not weep for you, but it can carry your name farther than any grave. All it takes is one hand to lift you and your own will to rise.